welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, I have been having what I call Werewolf Summer. It's a whole thing. There's a playlist if you want to know more about it. But essentially, I have been doing a series of builds in The Sims 4 using the Moonwood Mill world, which is the world that comes with the Werewolves pack. This is build number 4 out of 5, which is crazy because now we only have one left. So that sucks. But I had a lot of fun making this build in particular. It is a diner. I love a diner. If you give me a lineup of restaurants and a diner is one of them, I am almost always going to choose the diner. The only time I wouldn't would be if like sushi was an option above that. But I just love everything about a very like traditional old school diner, the vibes, the food, everything. And I just figured a good old like 70s, 80s diner would be the perfect addition to Moonwood Mill. And I feel like a diner just fits the aesthetic of Werewolf Summer. On my Werewolf Summer Pinterest board, there are a lot of like really cool aesthetic shots of old diners and like coffee mugs and things like that. So that's kind of what inspired this build. And I really like how it turned out. I think it turned out pretty cute. Just a few quick disclaimers before we get into the build. Like always, one, I do not use custom content or mods, not because I don't like them, but because I am building with a MacBook Pro and it is just not ideal. I do, however, use cheats and debug items quite frequently in my builds, so there's that. And thirdly, and most importantly, I do not play The Sims. I only ever build. That is just my preference and the way that I like to use The Sims. That being said, my builds might not be 100% functional. I don't play test them, so I don't know, but I am building for aesthetic and vibes, not playability or functionality. So it might not be 100% functional. All of my builds are always in the gallery. If you do download that, keep that in mind. Also, my apologies if any part of this navigation is a little bit weird. I am operating one handed since I am holding the microphone. I'm still figuring out what I'm doing in that regard. Please bear with me. Thank you so much. But yeah, this is the diner. Let's get into it. Starting with the exterior front of the build, I guess, naturally. First of all, this sign could not be more perfect. Love it. But I did keep the exterior of the build pretty simple, or as simple as I could. Obviously, I did like a little parking lot situation here and a sidewalk. For the base of the parking lot, I could have paved it and made it like asphalt or concrete. However, whenever possible, I prefer there to be a seamless transition between the edge of the lot and the world itself. So one thing I did notice about Moonwood Mill is that there's no paved roads. It's all like gravel roads and dirt like driveways onto the lots essentially. So I didn't want to do like a concrete slab of some kind here and then it just be like a really harsh cutoff to here. So instead, I did obviously build a sidewalk, but for the base of the actual parking spots themselves, I just used the same tool or like the one that looks closest to this to paint the bottom of it. I think it's like the pine straw one or something like that. So that way it's a little bit more cohesive with the like surrounding landscape. And then this is the fence for window shopping. And then I believe these parking blocks are like a debug item. I can't remember if they're base game or not, but I love using them. They're real handy. Well, this fence is also a debug item. I cannot remember for the life of me what pack it's from. I think it's either werewolves or high school years, maybe. And then this bench that I put out here is a get to work bench. And actually, I really wanted to use this on the interior of the build as the actual like benches that were with the tables. And I tried so many different ways and I could not get it to work. I really like how it turned out in the end. I like what I ended up doing instead, but I, for the longest time, really wanted to make this work and I just could not. Either the tables were too tall or too long or too short. So there was just not like a perfect match that looked right. But these benches in particular remind me of like Waffle House. So I really liked them and I really wanted to use them, but it's okay. They got a different life out here. So I put 2 of them on each side. I did use the like move objects cheat to line them up perfectly so that they didn't overlap. But yeah, so they are outside now, and I think they look really cute there. I think it's great. And again, I really like how it turned out in the end, but for a hot minute, I was trying to make these work. And then this is just a rug that I scaled down to look like a like doormat. That's what those are called. I did put a neon sign inside each side of the building. This little coffee mug here and this open sign. These neon signs kept trying to snap to the front of the building when I put them on. This was a little bit of a pain to do, but to me, despite how painstaking it was very worth it. I essentially had to remove this wall entirely and this wall because it kept trying to snap to that wall. And then once these were removed and it didn't have anything to snap to, I think I also had to remove this half wall. But once it didn't have anything to snap to, then I could kind of like free place it and use the 9 key and then just line it up as perfectly as I could and then replace the walls. I had to do that with both of these neon signs, but I think the effect was very, very worth it to make it look like it is actually properly hung up on the back of the window instead on the outside because that's not realistic. Hello. Hi, Bubba's. Are you coming to hang out? What are you doing? Come here. Hi. What are you doing? Do you want to say hello? No, I have nothing to say. Okay. Well, have fun. Buddy, I cannot. I don't have 3 hands. I'm so sorry. Hi. Do you want to say hello? This is Delroy. I don't think you can see him. Everybody say hi, Delroy. He does not like to be held. All right, now moving into the build. I don't know what this would technically be called. I don't think it's a foyer. It's not big enough to be a foyer, but it is just a like double doored walk-through area. So for the actual booths of the diner, I obviously had to use like the dine out benches and tables. Again, I did try many combinations of other benches and tables, and for the life of me, could not get any of them to work. Obviously, I don't build for functionality, but I still wanted to be realistic in terms of like what it would function like in the real world and that like the aesthetic would work. And one of the downfalls of trying to use a different table besides the ones that come with the dine out pack is the fact that most of them have 4 table legs instead of the like centered like 2 legs. And that just doesn't work in a diner to have benches and then like tables with 4 legs that you have to like squeeze around to get into the bench. So as much as I wish we had some other options, this is the one that made the most sense functionally for the like real world application of the aesthetic. And I think it looks fine. I think it looks totally fine, especially with all of the wood grain. It absolutely works. So I did go with the like red color swatch and obviously like the dark brown table and like bench accent. And again, I think it works perfectly with the wood paneling around the whole diner. And then I did put a little salt and pepper shaker on each one, and then one of these lights hanging over each one of the booths. I have never used this light before in a build. I don't think. I don't remember using it, but I think it's perfect for this build in particular. There are different lights hanging over the like bar area, but I thought these worked perfect for the booths. I did scale them up once, I believe. And then for like wall art in this area, I put this here as a little filler since this is the only like wide column. This one does not have one between the windows. So I just wanted to put that there as a little filler. I don't think I have any wall art. Yeah, nothing over here. And then on this wall in particular above this booth, I figured they would put their like, because you know how with like safety and like food inspection, health inspection, whatever boards, you always have to have all of your like licenses and business, like your business licenses and your certifications and all of that displayed, that they would probably put it like right here by the door to make things easy. And then maybe they were like featured in a magazine or something before. So they put that there as well. And then spinning around here, for the bar goes essentially all the way down the restaurant as well, with these 2 cutouts here for staff to be able to get in and out to the actual tables and not have to walk all the way down to like one side. But I did put seating all the way down it as well, except for a gap right here for the cash register, because obviously you want them to be able to like walk up and pay when they go to check out. And then there are also salt and pepper shakers, the same one as the table, kind of every other spot on the bar. I did include this here because I This little art piece cracks me up. I love it. And then, like I said, it is a different light that is hanging over the bar versus the booths because this was just too much. It was too big over the bar, but I think these complement each other pretty well. Also, I'm so glad that we can paint ceilings now because for the longest time we could not, and that drove me nuts. But I went back and forth for a long time on this build. I went back and forth on a lot of things with this build, apparently. But I did go back and forth for a while on whether or not I should just do like a wood paneled ceiling to match the walls. But I found this tile that I also don't think I've ever used in a build before because it is very busy, but I really love how it looks with this in particular. This is a much less busy floor, and I think this works perfect. I also love this floor. I had tried reversing the patterns to where the floor was on the ceiling and the ceiling was on the floor, but the one that is currently on the ceiling is very busy, and I think that's why I've never used it in a build before because it is just so much. But for the ceiling, I think it is a nice little touch. It's very because it's hidden away and you don't see it much, just the little like flash of it is really nice. And then the one that is on the actual floor, I love. It reminds me of like a very similar tile to what I'm almost certain, or like laminate flooring that I'm almost certain was in my great grandmother's townhouse. But it is that very like basic, like 70s laminate flooring. Do you have anything to say? No? Okay. This is really hard to do with only two hands because I have one for the mic, one to navigate, and I need one to pet the cat. But yeah, we're gonna make this work, I guess. Hi, Bubba. And then down here towards this end, I love this clock. This is from the bowling nights, bowling, whatever the bowling pack is. I love this clock so much. Oh, it is so good. And then obviously a jukebox, and I can never remember what this sign is called, but I've never gotten to use this swatch in particular. I've used this sign many times before, but never this swatch, and I was really excited to use it. And then I just put these three little portraits down here across from the bathrooms, and then like an emergency exit door because you always got to have one. For the bathrooms, I have no idea if this is functional or not. Obviously, I don't play test it, but I did put like the bathroom decal on the front of the doors. I don't know if that messes up the door usage or not, or if the sim can just walk through it. If anybody tests that, let me know if that works or not, or if you have to move them. But I really liked them being on the door, and I didn't want to use the regular. I know that there's a door that has like the bathroom decal on it, but the door didn't match the wood paneling. So I did a wooden door and then I put the decal on it, and the decal matches the floor. So let me live, okay? But obviously, like if it doesn't work, you could just move it and put it on the wall. Hi, baby. I need the use of both of my hands. The bathrooms are identical. They are just like flip flopped. So toilet, sink, toilet paper, soap dispenser, paper towel dispenser. This mirror that I thought complemented the wood paneling really, really well. Trash can, obviously, light switch as always. And then this light, I think I put this in the office as well, which we will get to. But I thought this light was a good light fixture for the bathrooms because it's just very old. Oh, yeah, there's one in the hallway as well. There we go. I was like, I knew I placed that somewhere else. Somewhere else. And then coming back around this corner here, I put a little coffee bar because I figured obviously they're making a ton of coffee and beverages and things like that. Oh, let me not click that. I really like how this turned out, first of all. I had a lot of fun putting this little section together in particular. So we have a little mini fridge popped up on the counter here for like milk and stuff like that. Creamer, I don't know. Espresso three espresso machines. There we go. Four little coffee makers. And then for this shelf, I did just pop the shelf here. This was kind of a pain in the butt to get all of these cups. These are espresso cups and regular coffee mugs. They're both like debug items. Also, when I was first working on this build and I was like putting all of the clutter on, these shelves were loaded up with like 3 rows of 4 on each shelf of their like respective cups. And then at some point, I don't know if I moved something or I closed it and opened it too many times. I don't know, but like half of them are gone. But I think it looks fine, and I didn't feel like going through all of the work to painstakingly put them back. But there's enough, and I think it looks like it is mid shift this way instead of being fully stocked. So it kind of works out that way. It's fine, but at some point it was fully stocked with mugs. And then just as a little space filler, I put these two mirrors here and then three menu boards here, with the largest one being in the middle. I think this looks really cute here. It's in every single build. I love this piece. And then on the left hand side of the doors, this little like dollar, I don't know if you've ever seen in like restaurants where it'll have, or like sometimes even stores where it'll have like the first dollar they ever made or whatever. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's perfect. And then I put some plate stacks over here. And then this is like a drying rack that I actually layered twice to fill the full like length of the counter because it looked kind of weird the regular size that it came. This is like one of my favorite cabinet pieces, and the matching island going all the way down, but I thought it also worked perfect with the like wood paneling vibe. So it being the wooden cabinet that matches the wood paneling, and then that just like white for like a countertop. It's a very, it like very much works with that like 70s vibe. I think that covers it for the front of house. Obviously, like all of the light switches. Yeah, I think that covers it. I guess we'll go ahead and move to back of house. So this is the kitchen area, which is just one long area all the way down. So starting on this side over here, more light switches. I did just go ahead and hang those aprons on the wall there. I did put some lockers here for like the staff to put their belongings in. There are two sinks, a little cleaning bucket underneath, two different soap dispensers. I figured one for like actual hand washing and then one for dish washing. Paper towel dispenser, trash can, a spare counter that I didn't put anything on because I figured this would just be for like a drying rack or something. I did put two of these really old refrigerators kind of flanking the cooking area. I figured they needed a lot of storage space or a lot of like refrigeration and things like that. So there's just the two very old ones. I did try to keep everything in here as old as I could, as if they like only updated what they had to over time. And then I did just put three ovens here. I think it is a little bit excessive, but I liked the way that it looked and filled the space in proportion to like this. So it is what it is. I did put the pots and pans over it, some like utensils here, some like cooking utensils, a little knife block here, empty space over here for like cutting, whatever. And then I just used this actual like dine out restaurant piece here. I did duplicate this mat a bunch of times. I don't like how this mat looks when it's blown up too big, so I just duplicated it instead of sizing it up. And then we have the second fridge over here and a microwave. Do they reheat the customer's food with it? I don't know. Maybe it's just for them. Maybe it is for customer food. That's not my business, okay? And then this storage shelf over here that I just duplicated twice. Since we're on this side, I'll go ahead and do the exterior over here because this is very simple. I'm going to be so honest. This is a platform raised all the way up to the roof. There is nothing inside of this. I did originally build this out as just like a second room, but because of the wall height over here, this was just way too tall. It looked so weird with like the door. I just didn't like the height of it. So, and I didn't like couldn't lower it because then it messed the terrain up. It was a whole thing. So I ended up just doing a platform that I raised to this height and did like the half wall that matched the height of the platform so that it was a little more proportionate to the door. So this is just a useless block. There is nothing in here. I'll lower it. Yeah, see, there's quite literally, it's a solid useless block, but aesthetically it looked good. So, and then over here there is a trash can and like a breaker box, electrical panel, whatever. And then I did put these two like debug light pole items because I thought they looked good back here, and then some trees. And then that's the like emergency exit from the back end there. Again, I kept the exterior real simple for this build because it's a diner. There's nothing crazy happening. And then again, that is the kitchen situation. And then the only remaining part of this build to look at is the office. So obviously the like manager or owner or whoever needs a little office. So I squeezed one in here and I kept it very basic, very outdated. So there is a desk here with their office chair and then a chair if like an employee needs to come fill out paperwork or something like that. Obviously, their desk is a little bit messy. There is a really old computer here, as well as maybe they're doing some accounting, going over employee files, whatever, more files here on the wall. I did put, again, that really old light, a coat rack over here. This is a, ugh, this is a shelf that matches the desk. There is like a stack of papers. The owner is obviously a little bit of a mess, but there's like a stack of papers. I just stuck this in here because it fit. Like a bag of money. Maybe they need to go to the bank and they haven't yet to make the deposit for the week or the day or whatever. They need to do like a cash run. More books, so much stuff. And then I did two filing cabinets here. I love this one in particular, but I did like the two filing cabinets, again, just so messy, just stuff everywhere. And then I figured maybe they had, you know, I'm just now realizing that I put these three here with the intention of them looking like they were like security surveillance footage. And I didn't put cameras up. Please hold. All right. So now we have cameras that go with the security surveillance TVs that are in the person's office. Uh, how I missed that, I don't know. Now I've got to retake my screenshots. Or I just don't. Maybe I don't. I don't know. You'll see if I retook the screenshots if there's cameras in them, I guess. Otherwise, that is the entire like owner's or manager's office, whatever. I originally put more filing cabinets back here, but I figured they would need room to like move in and out of their chair. I didn't want to like clutter this too much. It just seemed like a little bit, it seemed a little too crowded. That would stress me out to like not have room to back up or move around. So I ended up not putting anything down here, but you could duplicate this filing cabinet if you wanted to fill that space out if that bothered you being empty. But yeah, that is everything, I think. Pretty sure. Yeah, we went over everything. Okay. So yeah, that is the diner. I hope you liked it. I had a great time building it and touring it. As always, it will be in the gallery with the rest of my builds, and I will also include some screenshots at the end of this video. And then I will see you later this week with the fifth and final build of the series. That's crazy. I'm kind of sad about it. But I think I am about to go make some bacon and eggs and a cup of coffee because now I am craving them. And here are the screenshots. Enjoy.